Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Friday afternoon together. I'm running a little bit late today, and that is because I was in town earlier getting my second shot for the vaccine, for the COVID vaccine. And so I am totally inoculated now. I will still wear my mask, however, because if I would get it and not know it, the virus, I don't want to pass that virus on to anyone else. So I will continue to wear my mask, but I have had my second shot. And honestly, I feel fine. So a lot of those stories you read, don't let them scare you out of getting your shots, please. So this is our 10th week of January. Maybe it did affect my brain a little bit, right? It's our 10th week of 2021. January's gone, February's gone. It is March the 7th through the 13th this week already. Can you believe it's March already? This week, we're going to talk about the trauma of the pandemic and how we can help ourselves and help others. That's one of your questions here. And I was interested in the answer. So we're going to read that just any minute now. We're also going to get a message from Phillip from one of my books. And as you know, many of you, this is just a book where we open and each page has a different wisdom on it. And we just open and trust our own intuition and get a message for ourselves. Hello, Grace. Love from Australia. Thank you for coming on with us. And we hope your weather is lovely today. It is chilly here, but it's beautiful. The sun is shining, and it was a wonderful drive into town for me. And if it weren't for the wind blowing so hard, it would actually be warm. So let's look at this question, because I think the question is much, much bigger than we give it credit for. Moon Goddess Massage and Reiki, love from Texas. Well, Moon Goddess Massage and Reiki, welcome. We're so glad to see you here. And it's a little bit later than I usually come on, but it's good to be here and see some new faces here or new names. So here we go. This is our actual question. And if you have questions, I do ask that you make them universal. So, if you have private questions for your own life, if you would set up a session with me, that would be great. The information is below, how to contact me. If you have a question of universal appeal to everyone, you can put it in the messages below. Thank you, Grace, who says that down under, the weather here is beautiful and warm. So at least we're out of the snow for a while here. We're not out of it where I am entirely. Anyway, if you have a question, put it in the comments below, or you can email me. That gets a little bit harder with the email because I don't always see them because I get so many emails. If we're on Facebook, friends, send it there to Messenger. Anyway, eventually I'll get it. And if you don't hear it after 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks at the most, send it again and say, this is the second time, Diana, wake up. All right. So here's our question. How can we help each other heal from the trauma the pandemic has brought to society? Well, here's the answer, which is really, I think, rather interesting. Phillip says, let us begin. I have to say, someone said to me recently, when Phillip starts out with let us begin, she knows it's going to be a lengthy but in-depth answer. So Phillip is starting out with, let us begin by looking at the different types of trauma and addressing each. For some, there is the trauma of grief. After the trauma of illness of one who is loved. To witness someone who is ill is difficult for many humans. To no longer have someone in your life who has been there is difficult. We may tell humans there is no death, but there is a loss in the human's life. This causes grief, coupled with the trauma already caused by the illness of the loved one. There is also the trauma of those who care for the ill, both their bodies and human emotions. Those who are part of your medical community experience trauma from their chosen professions. There are also parents who are unable to find time for themselves as their children require more time and attention. We also see trauma in those who have lost their incomes due to closures and businesses that have not survived. There is also the trauma of loneliness and isolation. And there is the trauma of fear of both the disease and its cure in the vaccine. As you may have noticed, all of the trauma comes from loss or a fear of loss. We shall explain. Humans are conditioned to experience different emotions. The conditioning comes from all they have chosen to experience in all their life experiences and the collective consciousness. Beliefs are reinforced by all you choose to allow into your consciousness. Trauma does not need be experienced by anyone, but to not do so, one must recognize the human programming and conditioning and choose to rewrite the script, so to speak. This is not easy for humans to do and may take multiple lifetimes to do so, or it can happen quickly. Let us look, though, at the responses and how humans cope as well as heal. If a person contracts and accepts the virus and becomes ill, the body experiences trauma. If the ill person has a fear of illness or death, the mind will also experience trauma. If the person can replace the fear with love, there will be peace in the mind, which will then create peace in the body. I'm going to repeat that last sentence. If the person can replace the fear with love, there will be peace in the mind, which will then create peace in the body. For the human who is traumatized by one they love being ill or dying, their task is to release the loved one to their own journey. This requires releasing control over another. To look at grief from the spiritual self is to say, when humans grieve for another, it is themselves they grieve for. Grief can be traumatic, which is anger, or it can be of love, where the heart may say, I love you and will miss you, but I wish you well on the next phase of your journey. There is no trauma in this approach. You may be hearing Lily. She's talking to one of her toys, and she's standing right outside the office door here. I do let them in, but it's a little distracting when I'm trying to talk to you also. So that's just Lily playing with one of her toys, which she will then take over and give to Daisy. So, all right, we go on. Medical personnel may be tired in their bodies, but if they live through their higher spirit, they will be a greater help to their patients, as well as to themselves. Living in gratitude for being the helping healer is called for here. Please believe me, that doesn't mean they shouldn't get their rest. For the parents, and that we should not hold them in our hearts and prayers. For the parents, extra patience may be required, as will be the attitude of gratitude. Those who have children must learn balance, self-care, and gratitude for those who are under their care. Those who worry about money now have the opportunity to learn how to manifest that which they need. We concede that it is easier to learn and practice manifestation when there is no trauma. However, it is also possible to use the power of the trauma to propel yourself in the corrected direction of abundance rather than lack. The same is true of the business owner. This is an opportunity to assess whether to continue, to close, or to make changes. For those who are lonely, we ask you, for whom are you lonely? This is an opportunity to get to know the only person who can erase your loneliness, yourself. Look inward. For those who fear getting sick or getting the vaccine, this is the time now for you to begin to choose love over fear. Each time you choose love over fear, you will learn more about the truth of who you truly are. The answer to the question of how can you help each other heal from the trauma of the pandemic is simple. First, heal thyself, and then reach out in acts of kindness. That's what Phillip has to say for us about how do we help each other in the pandemic. And of course, all those ways that we know to reach out to those who may be lonely, to certainly hold our medical workers in our hearts and in our prayers. And if you know a medical worker, you might want to take over a hot meal if that's appropriate. Do those acts of kindness. Hello, Erin. Yes, you made it. So glad. So glad. And Grace says the governments and media are the virus who put people in a state of fear. Yes, but again, what Phillip was saying is that's part of the collective consciousness. And yes, the governments and the media do that. However, we already have that fear in us. And so that gives us the opportunity to choose love, because many of us brought that fear in this lifetime from another lifetime. So take that fear that is that when we first recognize it, that's the first thing we have to do, is we have to recognize, oh my gosh, this is coming out of fear. And then we have to make a conscious choice. I don't have to feel fear. I can choose love. Keep choosing love, my friends, for yourself and for the world. And I'm going to also suggest, and Phillip didn't bring this up, but I'm going to also suggest that every day in your meditation and in your prayer work, or however you handle this, please see our world at peace. Just imagine the magnificent divine white light moving in and through your body, keeping your body healthy and healing. And then take that white light from the heart. As the white light comes in through the top of the head, let it go out through the heart and spread all the way to our governments for right decisions, to our medical personnel to help them and hold them, and around the world. We are a global community. The U.S. forgot this for a while. Hopefully we'll remember it again. And those of you who are here with me today, we are brothers and sisters. And even those that we don't want to think of as our brothers and sisters, underneath the humanness, we are all connected. And so when I reach out in love, you feel it. When you reach out in love to me, I feel it. You know, this morning, before I went for the vaccine, I was rushing around and I had plenty of time, but a friend of mine and a neighbor recently had a terrible trauma, lost a son, not to COVID, but lost a son. And so while they're gone, I take care of their cats. And so I had that on my plate. And then I had writing out, which takes me a few hours to converse with Phillip to see what we're going to say on the video. And I had the appointment time to get to the community center, and I have my own kids to take care of. And so I was kind of rushing around, and it was like in my mind, because I hadn't even started things yet. This was just when I was getting up, and I usually take care of my animals and then go meditate. And I do that first because it'll be quieter when I go to meditate. And it was like, okay, I get to sit down and meditate now, but I've got to calm down first. I've got to calm myself down. So I've got to think in terms of love. And so right before I did that, I have a relative who's out of the hospital, but in rehab now. And I just sent her a little note, a little text that said, sending you peace and extra calm today. And as I did that, I realized so strongly that as I sent that out to her, I was also sending it to me. And boy, I felt black and white after that, totally different from being rushing around to being able to sit down and actually meditate. So that which we send out does affect us. So be careful what you're sending out. Welcome, everybody, all of you. I'm so excited to see you come on when we're live. But those of you who aren't live with us, welcome. I'm glad to see you, and I hope these videos are of help to all of you. And I do appreciate your questions. So what we're going to do now is just get our message from Phillip. And I just kind of flip through and let my finger kind of open wherever it opens. And again, it'll be left page or right page. Whatever I get, if you get the same, then that means your intuition, we're just in sync. And that's our message, our soul message this week. If you get the opposite page, which I also read, then that's really a message that you need to listen to. So here we go. There we go. That's where I ended up. And I'm getting the right page. So what I get, and of course it always goes along with our message, doesn't it? And sometimes we get the same message again and again. So I think we've had this one before. And here's what it says. That which you see around you represents the thoughts you have used to create your world. That which you see around you represents the thoughts you have used to create your world. That's our right page. So that's our soul message for everyone. So if you got right, your intuition's right on. If you got left, your intuition is telling you, you need to hear this message as well. You can give away only that which you possess. You can give away only that which you possess. And that's also what Phillip was saying. Heal thyself. In fact, let me reread that very last paragraph because I think that is such an important message. The answer to the question of how can you help each other heal from the trauma of the pandemic is simple. First, heal thyself, and then reach out in acts of kindness. You might want to make a commitment to yourself or to a friend. Do this as in a partnership. What act of kindness are you going to commit every day? And it may be something really simple. It may be smiling at a stranger. It may be calling somebody. It may be writing a note. It may be simply saying a prayer for somebody. It doesn't have to be huge. It may be sending $1 million off to somebody who needs it. It can also be huge. So, my friends, acts of kindness. You might want to even start a journal of acts of kindness and every day write down, what did you do today? Or, as I said, with a partner, and each of you check in at the end of the day or the end of the week, and here were my acts of kindness that I committed. Viviana, thank you. Hi from Canada. Did I say your name right? I have to look at the bigger screen here because the smaller screen, it's a distance and I can't quite see it. And that's where the computer is, on the smaller screen. So Vivian, if I said your name wrong anywhere, please feel free to call me up and correct me or send me a note that tells me how to say it. So my friends, I am so grateful for your support. I am so grateful that you're sending me love. And I am so grateful that you're accepting this love that I send to you. And Michelle, hello from New Jersey. So good to see you. I have a beloved niece. I have 4 beloved nieces, and one is actually named Michelle, but she spells it with 2 L's. And Vivian says, it's okay. All right. Whoops. She retracted the message, so I may have read it wrong or it was typed wrong. But I love each of you. And I love that there are those little tiny pictures, so I can't really see your picture, but I get an idea. I certainly can feel your energy. So thank you so much for being with me. Thank you, Michelle, sending hearts, and we're getting hearts from Grace and sunshine from Grace. She sent sunshine from Australia. And okay, typo, Vivian said, so she's sending hearts. So thank you, my friends, for being with me today. I am so grateful for each of you. And remember, acts of kindness. And look at, if you're feeling the trauma of the pandemic, look at what that really is. If you're sitting with someone who's experiencing trauma, and this isn't to say we don't grieve. Absolutely, we grieve, but we have to look at our grief a little bit and say, are we traumatized by it? If so, why and how can we heal that? Sometimes, all we need to do is just sit with somebody, not say a word, but just be there. And welcome, Moon Goddess, or you're up above, aren't you? Moon Goddess, Massage and Reiki. And she says, thank you. I love you, my friends. Acts of kindness. Remember, love, it's an action verb. Go out and create more love in our world. See you next week. And by the way, the March predictions are out. Be sure and take a look at those. Thank you.